My wife called me at work and said she'd inherited $2.8 million. Then she told me to pack my things and get out. 24 hours later, her whole plan fell apart. Look, I'm Ryan Stevenson, 49 years old, and I've been investigating insurance fraud for 25 years. You learn to read people, to spot when something doesn't add up. But nothing in my experience prepared me for that phone call on a Tuesday afternoon at 2:15 p.m. The phone buzzed on my desk like it had urgent news to deliver. Not a ringtone, just that low vibration that cuts through office noise and makes you look twice. I saw Jennifer's name on the screen. My wife of 22 years, calling while I'm reviewing a major fraud case at Southwestern Insurance Group. I answered without thinking twice. Her voice came through bright and victorious, like she'd won the lottery. I just inherited $2.8 million, she said. Then, without taking a breath to let that sink in, pack your things. Get out of the apartment now. The line stayed open. She wanted to hear me fall apart. I didn't give her the satisfaction. Here's the thing about working insurance claims for over 2 decades. You develop a certain instinct about when someone's trying to rush you into a bad decision. I was sitting in my office with gray carpet and fluorescent lights that had seen everything Phoenix had to offer. My computer screen showed claim files, my coffee had gone cold, and life was moving at its usual Tuesday pace, which made her words feel completely unreal, like someone had switched radio stations in the middle of a song. I kept my voice level, the way you do when you're asking for directions. Who told you this? She laughed sharp and quick, that sound she made when she thought she was already 3 steps ahead. Uncle Harold's attorney. Everything's official. Now Uncle Harold was Jennifer's great uncle, a man I'd met maybe twice in our 22 years together. Nice enough guy, lived alone in Tucson, never struck me as particularly wealthy. But people surprise you. Which attorney? I asked. In which court? A pause. Just half a second, but in my line of work, pauses tell you everything. Then her tone got louder, more confident. You don't need details. Be out by tonight. I looked at the clock on my computer monitor. 2:17 p.m. In 25 years of investigating fraudulent claims, I'd learned that details are exactly what matter when someone tries to shove you into panic mode. What time did you say again? I asked, keeping my voice conversational. She exhaled through her nose, that annoyed sound she made when she thought I was being deliberately thick. Don't play games with me. Just get out. Then the line went dead. Here's what I didn't do. I didn't announce anything to my colleagues at the next desk over. I didn't ask my supervisor for emergency leave. I didn't start making frantic phone calls. Instead, I finished the fraud report I'd been working on, a case where someone claimed their vintage car was stolen when they'd actually sold it and pocketed the insurance money. Funny how patterns repeat themselves. I closed my laptop, stood up, and walked to the elevator like it was any other day. In the mirrored doors, my reflection looked back at me, hair graying at the temples, shoulders square, wearing the kind of calm that might have looked like acceptance to anyone who didn't know better. But I wasn't calm, and I definitely wasn't accepting anything. I was focused. The drive home felt different somehow, like the city was holding its breath. I wasn't imagining some tearful reconciliation or hoping for a reasonable explanation. I was going for confirmation. When I turned onto our street, my phone started buzzing with text messages from Jennifer's number. Don't come back later. Take what you need and go. This is happening whether you like it or not. I'm serious, Ryan. I didn't reply to any of them. That's another thing you learn in the insurance business. Sometimes the best response is no response at all. Our apartment building lobby smelled like lemon cleaner. Same as always. The front desk clerk, Miguel, avoided making eye contact with me, which told me more than he probably intended. I nodded at him anyway and headed for the elevator. The ride up to the 8th floor felt longer than usual. Our apartment door was unlocked. That detail landed harder than the phone call had. I pushed it open and stepped inside. Every light in the place was on, even though it was the middle of the afternoon, casting everything in this deliberate theatrical glow. On our dining table, the one we'd bought together 15 years ago, sat a manila folder. Papers aligned with the kind of care that bordered on performance art. A pen rested on top, angled toward a signature line like a host pointing out where to sign a guest book. Jennifer stood by the window overlooking Central Avenue, phone in her hand, back straight. She'd changed clothes since I left for work that morning. Now she wore a pressed white blouse and black slacks, the kind of outfit she put on when she wanted to feel official.
"You're quick," she said without turning around.
"Sign and go. You can pick up the rest of your things later." I didn't answer right away. Instead, I set my keys down on the kitchen counter and stepped closer to that folder on the table. The top page looked impressive enough at first glance. Divorce petition, immediate move-out notice, list of marital assets typed up in formal language. But here's what 25 years of reading legal documents teaches you: the difference between something that looks official and something that actually is official. This was heavy on legal-sounding language and light on actual authority. No court seal, no notarization stamp, no case number in the header. It was theater, performed in black ink on white paper. Who drafted this? I asked, keeping my voice conversational. My lawyer, she said, but the answer came too fast. Another tell I'd learned to recognize over the years. I pulled out my phone and started photographing every page. Every margin, every header, the envelope with its embossed letterhead that was supposed to make it look more legitimate than it actually was. Jennifer reached for my phone like she wanted to snatch it away. I lifted my eyes and said one word: no. Her hand froze in midair. Here's something I'd learned about Jennifer over 22 years of marriage. Her courage never lasted as long as her pride. She stepped back, irritated but not willing to push it further. "Are you signing this or not?" she demanded. I sat down at our dining table and picked up the pen. Look, signing a piece of paper didn't scare me. I'd signed insurance settlements worth millions, hospital forms when my dad had his heart attack, tax returns every April for over 2 decades. What scared me was trusting someone who apparently needed to humiliate me just to feel tall. I signed where she pointed, the same way I'd signed 1,000 other documents in my life. Then I closed the folder and stood up. "Enjoy your luck," I said, allowing myself the smallest smile. "Just don't confuse it with ownership." She scoffed, that particular sound she made when she thought she'd already won. "You sound pretty wise for someone who's about to have nothing. Where are you even going to go?" I didn't give her a stage to perform on. Instead, I walked to our bedroom and pulled out the black leather suitcase we'd bought for our honeymoon trip to Hawaii. Seems like a lifetime ago now. I packed the essentials minus important documents, my prescription medications, phone charger, 2 changes of clothes. The rest could wait. I wasn't running away from anything. I was choosing what deserved to be carried forward. When I came back to the living room, Jennifer was on her phone again, not bothering to lower her voice. Apparently, the performance was over, and the real business could begin. "Yes, list it tonight," she was saying to whoever was on the other end. "Cash buyers only. Tell them it's an opportunity. We'll close the deal tomorrow morning." I stopped at the door and looked at the clock on our wall one more time. 3:18 p.m. I filed away that number like evidence that hadn't been written yet. Outside our building, the Phoenix heat hit me like a wall, but the air felt cleaner somehow. I didn't drive around aimlessly feeling sorry for myself. Instead, I went straight to the Hampton Inn on Central Avenue, about 15 minutes from our apartment. Not luxury accommodations, but what I needed right then wasn't comfort, it was protection. 24-hour front desk, security cameras at every entrance, everything documented with timestamps and receipts. At check-in, I asked for a room on a high floor, away from the elevator. The desk clerk, a young woman named Sophia, according to her name tag, was professional and didn't ask questions when I requested to pay for 3 nights upfront in cash. As I filled out the registration form, my phone kept buzzing with new messages from Jennifer. I let it buzz. Up in room 847. I set my suitcase against the wall and sat on the edge of the bed. The TV stayed off. Instead, I looked at my reflection in the dark screen and let myself understand something that settled cold and clear in my mind. The shock wasn't that Jennifer had inherited money. People inherit money all the time. The shock was the genuine pleasure she'd taken in throwing me out of my own home. That told me everything I needed to know about who I'd been married to for the past 22 years. Here's what happened next. I opened my laptop and started going through the emails Jennifer had forwarded me earlier that day. Appointment details, attorney's name and address, office location in Scottsdale. Standard stuff you'd expect from a legitimate law firm handling an estate matter. But then I found a sentence that made me read the whole thing twice. My full name listed not as Jennifer's spouse, not as her next of kin, but as a required party to be present at tomorrow's appointment. Now that was interesting. I wasn't being invited out of courtesy. I was being summoned by legal procedure. Someone wanted me there, and it wasn't Jennifer. I picked up the hotel phone and made a call I'd been putting off for years. Not to beg, not to complain, but to ask for professional guidance. Patricia Walsh had been the probate attorney on several insurance cases I'd worked over the years. Smart, no nonsense. The kind of lawyer who charged fair rates and didn't waste anyone's time. "Ryan," she said when she picked up. "It's been a while." "What's going on?" I told her everything. The inheritance call, the fake divorce papers, Jennifer's rush to sell property that might not even be legally hers yet. Patricia listened without interrupting, which I appreciated. When you're dealing with someone who bills by the hour, efficiency matters. "Bring everything tomorrow morning," she said when I finished. "Meet me outside the probate building at 9:15. We're going to observe, we're going to document, and we're going to let the legal process work the way it's supposed to." "What if she's right?" I asked. "What if everything is legitimate? Then you'll know," Patricia said. "But Ryan, in 30 years of practicing probate law, I've seen this pattern before. People who inherit money sometimes think the rules don't apply to them anymore. They're usually wrong." That night, I didn't sleep much. Not because I was anxious, but because my mind kept organizing information the way it always did when something important was happening. Dates, times, the sequence of events, the things that didn't quite add up. It's a habit you develop in the insurance business. Everything matters, and everything connects to everything else. I woke up before my alarm and sat on the edge of the hotel bed, watching the digital clock count down the minutes. Outside my window, Phoenix was already coming alive. Traffic building up on Central Avenue, early commuters heading to work, the city getting ready for another day of business as usual. At 8:30 a.m., I met Patricia outside the Maricopa County Probate Building. She looked exactly like I remembered. Mid-50s gray suit, leather briefcase that had seen a lot of courtrooms. She didn't ask me how I was holding up or offer empty reassurances. Instead, she shook my hand once, firm and brief, the way professionals do when they mean business. "Here's how this works," she said. "You observe. You don't explain or defend anything. If she tries to provoke you, let the room handle it. The process will speak for itself." I nodded. After 25 years of dealing with people trying to game the system, I understood the value of letting procedures do their job. Inside the probate building, the waiting area felt like a cross-section of Phoenix's private lives reduced to manila folders and notarized papers. Elderly couples clutched envelopes containing their life's work. A middle-aged man whispered urgently into his phone about asset transfers. A woman in her 40s tapped a pen against her knee, counting something I couldn't see. The air smelled faintly of toner and old carpet, the institutional smell of places where important decisions get made by people who don't have emotional stakes in the outcome. At 9:25, Jennifer arrived 5 minutes before our scheduled appointment, which was typical, minus she liked to make entrances, but she also hated being late. She wore a pressed navy blouse and matching slacks, her version of power dressing. Walking beside her was Rebecca Martinez, a woman from Jennifer's book club. Rebecca's eyes were alert and eager, like she'd come to watch an interesting show. Jennifer spotted me across the waiting room and stopped short, her confident stride faltering for just a second. "You actually came," she said, loud enough for other people to notice. "I told you yesterday this was already done." Patricia stood up before I did. "Good morning," she said to the room more than to Jennifer specifically. "We're here for the scheduled review." Jennifer pointed at me like I was evidence in a criminal case. "He's here to cause trouble. He signed the papers. He agreed to leave." Patricia didn't look at her. Instead, she addressed the probate clerk directly, presented our documentation, and asked for confirmation of our appointment time. The clerk nodded and motioned us toward a smaller conference room. Professional courtesy. It's a beautiful thing when you know how to use it. The conference room had a rectangular table, 6 chairs that weren't designed for comfort, and fluorescent lighting that made everyone look slightly tired. William Henderson, the probate representative, entered carrying a thick manila envelope that looked like it had been through several hands already. Henderson was probably in his early 60s, gray hair, wire-rimmed glasses, the kind of calm demeanor that comes from handling family drama for decades. He didn't smile or frown as he took his seat. He was there to do a job, not to referee our personal problems. "This is a procedural review," he began, his voice carrying the authority of someone who'd said these exact words hundreds of times before. "This is not a negotiation, and it is not a debate. We are here to ensure that the estate of Harold Stevenson is administered according to his documented wishes." Jennifer shifted in her chair, crossing and uncrossing her legs. "I understand that. I'm the designated heir. Can we move this along? We'll proceed according to the established timeline, Henderson replied, opening the envelope. The first several pages were exactly what you'd expect from a legitimate estate proceeding. Identification of assets, property descriptions, estimated values. As Henderson read through the financial details, Jennifer's posture loosened. Her confidence started creeping back into her shoulders. Numbers have that effect on people who mistake money for power. Harold Stevenson had indeed been worth $2.8 million. Mostly real estate investments, some stocks, a small business he'd owned in Tucson. Not bad for a guy who'd lived modestly and never talked about money at family gatherings. But then the tone in the room shifted. Subtle, but unmistakable if you knew what to listen for. However, Henderson continued, turning to a new page. The deceased included specific conditions and restrictions regarding the distribution of assets. He began reading in his measured, careful voice. No beneficiary may use the estate or its anticipated proceeds to force an unlawful eviction, to deprive a family member of shelter without due legal process, or to abandon family responsibilities through the sudden removal of financial support. Jennifer laughed. Sharp and disbelieving, the sound echoing wrong in the small room. That's ridiculous. How is that even enforceable? It is enforceable because it is written, Henderson replied, not unkindly, but with absolute finality. It is part of the legal document we are bound to honor. Patricia made a note in her legal pad. I watched Jennifer's companion, Rebecca, straighten in her chair as the reality of the situation started to sink in. Henderson kept reading. Furthermore, during the initial administrative period of this estate, lasting no less than 60 days from today's date, an additional party has been designated to observe all proceedings and ensure compliance with these conditions. He looked up from the document and said my full name. Ryan Michael Stevenson. The sound of it in that room, official and anchored, felt like a door closing somewhere behind me. Not trapping me, but sealing off a room I no longer needed to enter. Jennifer's mouth opened, then closed. For maybe the first time since I'd known her, she was genuinely speechless. That's wrong. She finally managed. He has no legal standing in this matter. We're getting divorced. He was specifically designated by the deceased. Henderson replied, This is not advisory. This is a requirement. She pushed her chair back from the table, the legs scraping against the floor. You can't be serious about this. We are entirely serious, Henderson said, and continued reading from Harold's will. Here's what I learned in that moment. Harold Stevenson might have lived quietly, but he'd been watching his family more carefully than anyone realized. The man had seen something in Jennifer that made him want to put legal guardrails around his money. Smart guy. The meeting concluded with a detailed list of next steps, documentation requirements, and a formal reminder that any attempt to sell, transfer, or encumber estate property prior to proper authorization would be recorded as a potential violation of the will's terms. Jennifer stood up before Henderson finished speaking. This is insane, she said. You'll be hearing from my attorney about this. You are welcome to pursue any lawful remedy you choose, Henderson replied. The estate will proceed according to the documented instructions. She stormed out of the conference room, her heels clicking sharply against the tile floor. Rebecca followed, no longer looking entertained by the morning's events. The door closed behind them with a soft click that somehow managed to sound like restraint. Outside the probate building, Phoenix sunlight hit the steps with its usual indifference to human drama. I took a deep breath and felt my lungs fill without the weight I'd been carrying since yesterday afternoon. My phone started ringing before we even reached the sidewalk. Unknown number. Sir, a man's voice said, tight with stress. This is Brian Foster with Desert Properties Real Estate. I'm calling about a serious problem. Your wife took a $50,000 deposit from my client last night. The buyer is here right now demanding a signed contract. He says he was promised clear title and immediate closing. Patricia held out her hand. I put the call on speaker and passed her the phone. She spoke with the kind of precision that comes from decades of cleaning up other people's messes. You will pause all activity on this transaction immediately. There is no current authority to sell this property. We need you to send us the listing agreement, all communications with the seller, and documentation of the funds transfer. This appears to be an irregular transaction that may violate probate law. The agent's voice shifted, fear replacing bluster. Look, I didn't know there were complications. She was very confident about her legal position. Said everything was already settled. Confidence is not the same as documentation, Patricia replied. Send us everything within 2 hours. She ended the call and handed my phone back to me. And that, she said, is how amateur schemes usually fall apart. As we walked toward her car, I could see Jennifer across the street, pacing back and forth while talking rapidly into her phone. Even from a distance, I could tell the conversation wasn't going well. Her free hand kept gesturing sharply, the way it did when she was trying to convince someone of something they didn't want to hear. Back at Patricia's office, the messages started stacking up. The real estate agent sent over the paperwork within an hour: listing agreement, deposit receipt, email communications that painted a very clear picture of someone making promises she couldn't legally keep. Then the buyer himself called, Andrew Parker, 58 years old, recently retired from his job as a high school principal. He wanted to speak to me directly. Patricia put the call on speaker. "Mr. Parker," I said, "I understand you're upset about this situation." Upset. His voice was strained. "I liquidated my entire $401K for this purchase. Your wife told me everything was cleared through probate, that we could close tomorrow. I've got movers scheduled. I've already given notice on my apartment lease. Here's something you learn in the insurance business. When regular people get caught up in other people's schemes, they're usually the ones who suffer the most." Andrew Parker wasn't trying to scam anyone. He was just a retired teacher who thought he'd found a good deal on a house. "Mr. Parker," I said, keeping my voice steady, "you weren't misled by me. You were misled by someone who didn't have the legal right to sell this property. I'm working to make sure you get your deposit back and don't lose any more money." "She told me you were trying to block the inheritance out of spite," he said. "She had me locked out of my home yesterday," I replied. "Today, she tried to sell property she doesn't legally control yet. Those are the facts." "Everything else is just noise," Patricia added. "Mr. Parker, do not transfer any additional funds. Keep all your documentation. We're going to make sure you're protected in this situation." By mid-afternoon, the dominoes were falling in predictable order. The real estate brokerage pulled the listing from their website. Andrew Parker's attorney started using words like refund and misrepresentation. Jennifer's attempts to contact me became increasingly desperate. At 4:30 p.m., she called one final time that day. I decided to answer. "I didn't think it would go like this," she said, her voice smaller now, stripped of the confidence she'd had 24 hours earlier. "I thought once the inheritance was official, everything would just work out. Money doesn't solve problems," I replied. "It reveals them. I just wanted to start fresh. You know? Start my life over." "You did start over," I said. "Yesterday, when you decided to throw me out instead of talking to me like a human being, there was a long pause. I could hear traffic noise on her end, someone calling her name in the background. "So that's it?" she asked. "After 22 years, that's just it. Direct all future communication through your attorney," I said. "We're done here." I hung up before sympathy could blur the lines I'd drawn. Here's what happened over the next few weeks. The probate process moved forward at its own careful pace, the way legal systems do when they're working properly. Jennifer received her inheritance minus the legal fees, the costs of her premature real estate scheme, and a modest settlement that acknowledged my role in protecting the estate from unauthorized transactions. More importantly, I kept my job, my professional reputation, and my dignity intact. At 49 years old, with 25 years of experience reading people and situations, I'd learned something valuable. Patience isn't weakness. It's strategy. Jennifer moved to San Diego with what was left of her windfall. We finalized our divorce 6 months later properly through attorneys, with all the right paperwork filed in all the right places. I heard through mutual acquaintances that the money didn't stretch as far as she'd hoped. It turns out poor judgment is expensive regardless of how much cash you start with. As for me, I'm still in Phoenix, still investigating insurance claims, still believing that systems work when you respect them properly. I bought a smaller place closer to the office, started taking weekend trips to places I'd always meant to visit, and discovered that being alone isn't the same thing as being lonely. Look, if you're listening to this and thinking about a time when someone tried to bulldoze you with money or urgency or pure entitlement, here's what I want you to remember. Silence isn't surrender. Sometimes it's preparation, sometimes it's the space you need to choose the right response when the pressure mounts. I didn't win because I was smarter than Jennifer. I won because I refused to panic, trusted the process, and let the paperwork tell the truth. The inheritance was her luck, the consequences were her choices, and walking away with my integrity intact. That was mine. Sometimes the biggest gift someone can give you is showing you exactly who they are when they think they hold all the cards. It saves you years of wondering if you made the right choice. Real strength isn't about fighting back harder than someone hits you. It's about standing so solid in your principles that their chaos can't move you an inch.